Don't let me find you out here again.
We're trying to help you.
I don't need help.
Not my diagnosis.
What gives you the right? What's the difference between you and me?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Welcome to the Burning Ewok Podcast, episode 3. With me is
Justin Granson.
And Dan.
Mendro.
Awesome. All right, guys, let's get right into it. So there's a lot of stuff that went down this week.
Busy
Justin,
week.
Yeah. What was the highlight for you this week?
Well, I think I'm going to throw it over to Dan right now because Dan and I had a conversation a couple days ago where he thought that he figured out what was bugging him, or not bugging him, but where his connection with Star Trek Discovery was. So tell us what your thoughts on Star Trek Discovery are, where you're at there, and let's go through it. I took a note of it after you said that.
So it kind of it just hit me as we're going through the meat of season 2, as I'm going through the meat of season 2, right? I'm like, I've seen this freaking story before. I know this story. And it's the freaking Flash on CW. It's the whole Flash story redone in Star Trek. The whole thing.
Oh, so you're talking story. Okay. I didn't understand. I thought you were saying there was a vibe or a feel, but
yes. The vibe is so similar. Everyone's always rushing and yelling and exclaiming and being over dramatic with each other and stuff. So there's totally that vibe. There's never like the original Star Treks, it's there's a lot of really, New Generation and the original series. Nice. There's some periods of really drama, especially the original, right? 1960s, 70s, TV was very melodramatic at times, but this is over melodramatic, like the Flashes, the dude that Barry Allen's always complaining about his girlfriend and about his dad and everything. But there's that whole lost parent thing, and I'm trying to get my parent back and everything. And I'm trying not to spoil it too much for Chuck because Chuck hasn't seen it yet. But that whole, I got to go back in time and keep the time continuum going and blah 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 and yada yada yada, and oh wait, that was me the whole time and blah blah blah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's really well done, and season 2 is so much better than season 1.
Agree, wholeheartedly agree. That's where it clicked for me.
Yeah. Apparently they just stole it from the Flash.
Well, I don't really care about stealing or anything, but it's just it is a very retread series of thematically, it's pretty retread. It's done really well. I love most of the characters, and last week you said something about they don't get a lot of backstory, and season 2 there is kind of more of a focus each episode, and it's not in your face like Lost is. Lost had an episode about everybody, and it was hey, this is how you ended up on the island and whatever. It's you're getting about a 5-minute background into some of the more major.
You do, and it gets better by the end of season 4. Yeah. But I think with Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and the other series, you had 24 episode seasons, where now we have 10 to 15 episode seasons, so you don't get to flesh that kind of stuff out, because in those series, it wasn't a continuous thing. It wasn't episode 1 to episode 25. We've gone from here and our characters have progressed through this storyline. It's instead is storyline episode week 1. And then the characters will develop within that, and it'll carry over. The development of the characters carried over, but the storylines usually didn't link. You'd had the Q storyline would link, and the Borg storyline would link, and a lot of those older ones, but it was mostly Monster of the Week episode. So more like how X-Files was. X-Files would have the alien story in there, but 2 out of 3 episodes was the goofy dude that like was able to slither through the vents, and then the next one was about like, I don't know, kids that could light their parents on fire with their eyes. I don't know. That's not an episode. I don't think. I just made that one up. But
It will be next time they
but
make.
but they're actually
X-Files.
redoing X Files. They're going to reboot X Files, and
Mhm.
that's actually something that was in the news this last week.
Yeah.
I have. We'll see when that comes out. Anyway, my whole thought on it is like I don't know Flash. I've had my wife tell me that she really liked it and she kind of wanted me to watch it. I didn't. I never got around to it. Um, I feel that Discovery is Mass Effect. It absolutely feels like Mass Effect. I've got a group of people in my crew, and they go on a mission, and then they'll get to an alien planet, and there'll be an alien there to talk to them. They have a conversation with them, and then it's, do we do this that ends up saving this alien,
Mhm.
but it's going to go and wipe out this other thing that they don't know about, and is that a problem? And which way do we discuss? And Control in that whole timeline, in that whole story, there's a lot of that in there. And like, what do you do to solve these certain things? Do you
Yeah.
it gets more
Yeah.
and more like that in season 3 and 4, where they'll actually be somewhere and they have to make the choice: do we save this race or do we save this race? That type of thing.
Mm.
Just like in Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Do we help with this war? Do we not? And it's like I could actually see like the dialogue and like them clicking through and choosing which ones to pick in the episode.
Mhm.
And it's the aesthetics of the show are very Mass Effecty. There's a lot of it in there. It's like I would say it like I guarantee you those creators definitely all played Mass Effect. At
All
least
right.
the art design.
If I see in season 3 Burnham running through a corridor that snakes back and forth and she's running up against the wall a lot, because that's what I feel like half of my Mass Effect gaming career was running through the corridor to get down to the next stage of the map, whatever, it was always like this back and forth corridor that would go a ramp that would go up and then you turn right and then go up again. It was
And
always
then you
very
gotta hack the computer,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then get
yeah. No, but
cover.
I think I'm done with Discovery for a bit. I think I'm at a good point. I don't really need to see what happened left, next right now. I'm
Oh
segueing
no,
into
you're in a good spot. You're in a good spot where everything changes right where you're at. You can come back and probably watch the last 3 seasons later.
yeah. So I
Although
got
the
a bunch
new season comes out next month, I'll be talking about it.
yeah, I got a bunch of other stuff to catch up on. So I'm gonna shift back to some other shows and let it sit for a while.
So that brings up a really good point. That the Mass Effect thing plays well into the first season of Picard, because the first season of Picard I got to like I think there's 8 episodes. I think I got to the 7th episode, and I felt the same. I felt like, oh, this is a Mass Effect thing where they're gonna have these like synthetic,
Mm-hmm.
beings come from outside the galaxy and wipe out all organic life forms or whatever. I was like, for whatever reason, like that just shut the thing down for me. So you guys didn't have that same effect where, like, for example, as soon as it dawned on you that, oh, you were just watching the Flash storyline, repeated in Star Trek, that didn't affect your enjoyment of the show, though, right?
Mhm. No. I'm just like, oh man, this is like. There's even some like if you did you watch the Flash check?
I did not watch the
Oh,
Flash.
okay.
No.
Well, I guess if you ever saw the DC movies, like Flash when he comes to a stop, there's a lot of that in Discovery where they're like running and she comes to a stop and
I know.
everything
I know
like
what you're talking about. I get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just I don't know, it's just like when it dawned on me that it reminded me so much of the Flash on the CW, right? The CW show that in the storyline and all of that, I'm like, man, this is just like this is Barry Allen looking for his father,
Mm.
this is just what it is.
Chuck, did you go any further then, or did you stop Picard at that point?
I stopped it right then and there. I was like, well, Mass Effect did a better job at this story.
Oh,
I never watched the 7th or the 8th, the final episode of season 1. I never watched it.
okay.
So I am going to go back and watch
I've only
all of
watched
it.
season 1.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and watch it all again. So
and
all
how
the
I
way through.
understand it is season 1 is up and down, and there are moments I didn't like it when it first started watching it. And I'm like, this isn't Star Trek. And then there was a moment where Picard became Picard, and I was like, oh wait, okay, he's in there still. And
Here's the
then
thing,
there was
though.
a scene where they added some of the old crew members came back, and they had those scenes, and I thought they were fantastic. And that got me back because even though, yeah, you have those things that are like Mass Effect, it's the characters, man. It's the characters. So you've got the character Jean-Luc Picard, you've got Riker, you've got all those characters that you watch 7 seasons of back in the day, and it was just fun playing with those characters again.
I really liked Hugh coming back. I liked
Hmm.
the stuff with the Romulans and the cube that they captured, and they were trying to reverse engineer it. I love Seven of Nine.
Yeah,
Like she what's her name? Jerry, the
Ryan.
actress.
Jerry
Yeah,
Ryan.
Jerry Ryan. She really loves that role. Like
It's a good role.
she plays it so well.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean I didn't have any complaints other than I don't know, it kind of feels like Mass Effect there at the end. But the what I think the thing that I would like to see, and I think Picard did it a little bit, but then maybe we could see this in the Star Wars universe as well, is just other stories told within the universe that not necessarily they don't have to necessarily be Starfleet. They don't have to necessarily be, you know, they don't have to be related to the Enterprise or any of that stuff. I just, I think the
Man,
kind of like the part of Picard that I thought was really interesting was I'm no longer part of Starfleet, and this is kind of like what people do who aren't members of Starfleet, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
it's a pretty interesting segue you just had there, talking about universes that go in places that they haven't gone before. Um, so let's talk about the trailer. Want to talk about the Acolyte?
Well, before you even say that, I mean, I'm just watching Dan's background.
Yeah.
That episode of Next Generation where they find that probe, and then all of a sudden it's like uh, Picard like passes out and lives an entire lifetime on an alien world. Like that episode was it was literally, we just need to throw a quick episode together because we just spent all this money and time on these big, I think it was like Borg episodes, and then we just need a quick one that we can throw together really fast. And then, and it was like that episode hit that whole thing. It was like, oh, here's another storyline in that universe that has nothing to do with, other than the fact that Picard was the main character in it, but like really had nothing to do with Starfleet. In fact, I turned it on when that episode was on. I didn't see the opening credits or anything. I'm like, this is weird. I guess Star Trek's not on today. Like, I honestly, when I first turned it
Yeah.
on, I didn't know what I was watching.
Season 3 and 4 will definitely scratch that itch if you're looking for something different in the Star Trek universe. For
Yeah,
sure.
I like that. I like that stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff's cool.
It goes where no Star Trek has gone before. Anyway, Acolyte. Let's go. Okay. What do you guys think of the Acolyte trailer?
Mm.
All
No,
right.
I thought it looked badass. I thought it looked badass. That scene where behind Dan right now, for example, when that freaking red lightsaber is shooting through all the trees and shit. I loved that.
That was great.
That was
That's
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
We got a lot of yellow lightsabers in there. I was like looking at the ratio of the lightsabers, and I'm like, man, why are there? What happened to yellow lightsaber crystals? Do we not have? They just like going more scarce, and Ray just happened to find one at the end of episode 9.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Like if you played any of the like old Republic games and stuff, there's like a whole storyline behind the yellow ones. I forget what it was.
Yeah, I know.
I
I was in
Old
that's a
Republic.
Republic. I was one purple and one blue lightsaber.
Gotcha.
I
That's
think
how-
I
yeah.
played it. I played it so many times. I played it as the villain. I played it as a good guy. I think I had a yellow saber at one point. Yeah, no, I loved the original Knights of the Old Republic. That first game was so good. The second one was all right, but the first one was phenomenal. And it
Yeah.
bums me out that they don't take that and make that into something.
But this takes place in a different time frame. They could still do that.
No, this
isn't.
takes place what, like 300 years before or something?
I think it's probably this is the High Republic. So the High Republic
Right.
starts like 900, I think. I could be wrong. Maybe it's 700 years because I know Yoda. Yeah, it's about 700 because I think Yoda's like only 200 years old in this.
I want to say it's 200 before.
I
Really?
think it's 200 after the start of the High Republic.
Oh,
So it might be like 500 years before A New Hope.
yeah, there you go.
I think
Maybe.
that's where this show will take place. Knights of the Old Republic takes place like 1,000
Yeah,
or
it's like
2,000
2,000 years.
years,
Yeah.
way before.
Yeah.
So I finally get a story that isn't a Skywalker story. It's going to have its own characters, its own universe. I've read some of these books that are in this universe. With the High Republic, I they're okay. I think a lot of people like them. I just think they're okay. And it's not because I think it's just the quality of the writing. It's like the world building's kind of cool though. Um, yeah, I don't know anything about these characters that are in this trailer.
Okay.
They're not the characters that are in the book that I can remember. So I'm guessing they're going to take new characters in that time frame and kind of go with that. But it's new
So
Star Wars.
What's your favorite bit from that trailer, like that really got you jazzed up?
Trinity.
Carrie Ann Moss, you like that?
Well, I mean, it's like a Matrix scene in Star Wars right there.
Yeah,
that's the
it
first thing.
is.
I forgot
It
she
is.
was cast in it. So as soon as I saw her, I'm like, oh. And then I'm like, that's pretty good. Okay, that's good. I don't know. I really like that ship crashing on that ice planet. That kind of stuff. I didn't see a lot of the ships and like what that looks like. I always like the aesthetics of Star Wars and the different timelines. So I want to see what this is like. Is it going to be bright and shiny like the prequels? Is it going to be burnt out and beat up like the original trilogy? I don't know. Let's see. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. Um,
So did you see like the creator? She said she set out to make a Star Wars movie that was Frozen meets Kill Bill.
Oh my god, I love that.
okay. All right. I'm in. I'm in.
I didn't hate Frozen.
No,
The
Frozen's
singing,
fine.
I could have done without the singing, but
Yeah,
Frozen was cool. I like
Frozen's
that
fine.
movie.
I'm not going to be a
I have
Frozen
two
hater.
girls too. I've seen it probably a million times.
I watched it once. I only had to watch it once, and
I've had to watch it a lot.
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine. I don't have any. Yeah, you're not going to hear any hate from me on that. But Kill Bill, you'll hear nothing but love from me on.
Yeah, that movie's.
So yeah, let's go. Let's go. I'm in. Yeah. So I think comes out in the beginning of June, so that leaves April and May. I'm imagining they're going to have quite the push on getting people interested in this because there's a lot riding on it. They have a lot riding on this, and they have to get this right because this is, you know, unknown characters, unknown Star Wars world. What happens if this fails? You've got a book line, a comic book series, novels and comics. I imagine probably video games possibly lined up. If it doesn't roll, I'm thinking it's going to be good.
Well, how could it not be? I mean,
You
name
saw
one
you saw the
thing.
book of Boba Fett, right?
I didn't think the Book of Boba Fett was terrible. I mean, it was Star Wars, man. It
I
was
think
cool.
it's got some good moments, but overall I think it's rather meh.
It's mid.
Uh,
I don't know, man. You guys, I think first of all, here's the thing. Like, Dan, in our chat, you taught. I think it was you that brought up like the problem with Fallout is that they're not going to be able to please everybody.
Yep.
And that's the same with Star Wars. You can't please everybody because everybody is looking for something specific.
let's put it this way.
Just stop putting so much, pressure on it. Just like go and enjoy it.
I'm just saying about talking with the masters. When it comes to Book of Boba Fett, I watch it and I go, there's some good parts in it. When I watched Obi-Wan, there's some good parts in it. Did I love the whole thing? The scooter gang in Boba Fett is terrible.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
All that stuff's terrible. But I don't care. So there's some terrible stuff. Like if I am to make everything as good as The Empire Strikes Back in Star Wars, I'm going to always be disappointed. If I'm going to say everything has to be live up to Andor, if everything has to live up to Andor, Rogue One, and like my favorite bits in Star Wars, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm very rarely going to find shows that are going to be better than those or movies that are going to be better than those.
Correct.
So there's no reason for me to hold the bar that high. Just like the Marvel stuff. So many people held the bar at Endgame. And then they're like, oh, this Shang-Chi is nothing. What's going on here? You're going to throw out, and Shang-Chi's a great movie. I'm not saying it's not. I just threw it out there as, it doesn't hit the level that Endgame hit. So I think I and you guys are probably going to temper your expectations, and we're going to watch it a little bit more objectively. But we watch this stuff because we like this stuff. If you're just a commoner out there, some common plebeian who doesn't know anything about Star Wars and thinks they're all just laser sword shooties, you may not be interested. This may suck. Not everybody liked Andor. So yeah, you're not going to please everybody.
It was very like I only watched 3 episodes, maybe 4 episodes.
What?
Well, my daughter and I were watching it. And she went back to school.
Okay,
But it was darker. It was. I liked the Han Solo movie. I thought that was a good movie.
Solo's a good movie. Solo's a good movie. Objectively a good movie. It got bashed.
Yeah, it got bashed too.
Boba Fett had some, I'm watching the Boba Fett thing behind Dan. It had some good moments in it. It also had a lot of back to tank, and really slow scooters. It was a mixed bag. The seismic charge dropping into the Sarlacc pit was one of the greatest revenge moments, I think, in Star Wars. So that was great.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I liked Boba Fett. I liked I loved the old Tales from Jabba's Palace stuff. I wish that. Yeah. I kind of wish they had kind of used some of that in the Book of Boba Fett, but they got to do what they got to do.
Good.
What was that, Dan?
I said I like the Bounty Hunters.
Book, the Bounty Hunters book was really good.
Yeah, that would have been better. I mean, I think this was just a more of like a money grab almost to get an extra set, extra use out of the same sets that they use for Mandalorian. Same same production, same actors, just filler to get you over to Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, right? That's all it was.
Well, there was some fun though. So the biker thing, that's like kind of paying homage to like the 60s, 70s, like London kind of scooter gang kind of a culture. There was like some fun stuff with the Rancor. He climbed up that tower, kind of an homage to King Kong. Like they were having fun with it, and I think if you could just sit back and go, "Oh, these guys are just having a good time. They're not taking themselves too seriously here." I think you can forgive some of that stuff and be like, it's they're having fun. I'm glad they did it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Well, it was Robert Rodriguez who directed the series. And I think he also wrote it. And he's the one who came in and did the episodes of Mandalorian where Boba Fett was revealed. And those are great. That's a great episode.
They are good. They are
fantastic.
Good,
yep. So that hyped everything up. But I think I think you have a lot of tools that Boba Fett could use. And I don't mean just like his equipment. I'm talking like the other bounty hunters, as Dan said. You've got where's Dengar? Where's Forlom and Zukas and all the other, where are these other characters that I think people would rather have added into this instead of having them walk around a town and try to be a sheriff or something? I don't know. It's
to me, it's another Star Wars identity crisis problem, right? Yeah. It's Star Wars is supposed to be kids thing, right? We were kids. It came out. It was a kids thing, and it tries to be edgy, and it tries to be cheesy kids kind of stuff, and it can't figure out which one it's going to be most of the time. I prefer the edgier stuff, and I think it should go full tilt that way to be its best. Or it needs to go embrace the cheesiness and go full that way. I don't think you can go both.
I agree. I agree 100%. But the problem is, the question boils down to then who is it? Who's the audience?
I think it
What's
could
the
be
audience?
both. I think it could be both. I don't think it. I think you can have an Andor and you can have a Clone Wars and
You can't
Bad
do it in
Batch.
the
We
same
already do.
show, but you can't do it in the same show, is what I'm saying. And I
Yeah,
think that's what it ends up doing in
maybe.
Mandalorian and Bounty in Boba Fett, and not so much in Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka and Obi-Wan kind of went the hey, we took Phantom Menace and the prequels, or sorry, the prequels, and we went edgier on those two series, right? So I think that's what you got out of those two, and Andor was just like an extension of Solo and Rogue One, right? Or sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
it definitely is this. Yeah.
so,
So I had an interesting conversation with my son last week.
mhm.
He's obsessed with 80s and like the cheese factor of the 80s. Like we watched The Running Man, and he's like, "This is cinema at its finest right here." I love this so like he loves it, and he loves
Would you call
uh
Running Man cheese though?
yeah,
But in,
absolute
no,
like schlock. Like
I
cheese,
think
the
it's
music and 80s music, and he's listening to the Cars, and he's listening to it's just all the like 80s things, and it's just like where things were tied up, happy ending, everything. There might be a little bit of satire thrown in there, and there is in the Running Man for sure. There's a lot of satire, yeah, a lot of satire in Running, but overall, the one-liners, the Schwarzeneggerness of it all, like he can't wait to start watching the Rambo movies. Rambo 1 obviously different, but 2 and 3 is it's
different kind of
it's goofy.
cheese than Star Wars cheese, though.
But
It's
but I'm like, really, why are you so tuned? He's like, Dad, everything I watch right now, everything that comes out, it's always got to be so dark. It's got to be so. Ugh. It's just like, like we want to see fun. We want to see we like the goofy and silly because
Yeah.
everything is serious. The world is too serious. And
no,
it's
I
just
think
like, and it was just a different perspective, and it's just like
No,
it kind of took me aback. I was like, okay, I didn't expect that.
I am good with that. I think break circle back around the Mandalorian, and what my problems with that is that it just it can't pick a lane, and then it ends up for me being boring, and I don't know, just it's Disney cheese. It's like thrown in the middle of the desert as he's walking back and forth from point A to point B and back to point A and then back to point B. It's like I think a long time ago you kind of paraphrased in like a chat we had that it was like the Mandalorian is like Kung Fu, the old TV show Kung Fu, but Star Wars,
Uh,
and
uh,
the show
uh,
was so freaking boring,
the first
and
season.
yeah, and you just kind of hit it on the head for me, right? When we were talking about it way back when.
Lone Wolf and Cub
Mhm.
is probably what I compared it to. But yeah, I get what you're saying there. I love all three seasons of The Mandalorian. I think the second season was the best one. I think this third season still good. It takes it in a different direction, but I also liked all the other Mandalorian characters that were in the Clone Wars animated series and how they tied that all together and really brought a lot of the lore from the Mandalorian stuff from those shows
Mm-hmm.
was all brought into
Yeah.
there. And I think the best episodes of Book of Boba Fett are the Mandalorian episodes in there. You know, but writing that line of cheesiness. I mean, it's I don't know if it needs to pick a lane. I mean, like again, my kids think the prequels are better than the original ones. Those are the ones that they grew up with. You know, that's a movie that has Darth Vader or Darth Maul getting cut in half, and also Jar Jar stepping in poo.
Yeah.
And then even episode 3, the darkest, it's got it's got its moments also. It's always kind of been that way. I mean, even in the original series got some cheesy moments too.
Mm-hmm. I
Yes.
agree.
Yes, it does.
I mean, the Sarlacc pit burps after it eats Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a thing that hasn't been there. So
I don't disagree with you.
Okay, all right.
You
You just don't like it. I get it. I get it. I get it. I'm
Yeah.
fine with it. You know, I know I know what it is. I know what. Yeah. Anyway, all right. You guys want to talk about some Fallout?
Yeah, man.
All right.
Sure,
Take it.
always.
Take it away.
So they released a scene that it wasn't very long. It was actually kind of short, and I feel like we kind of saw most of it in the trailer. But it was good. I thought it was funny. The one thing I thought was interesting was the power suit armor had a jetpack on it.
Mm-hmm.
Fallout 4.
Yep.
You can get jetpack on them.
Yeah, that fits.
Does
Yeah.
it?
Yep.
Yep.
I don't remember
Fallout,
that.
Fallout 4. I think it was one of the later expansions had it in there.
Hmm.
Anyway, what I thought from it was, is it gonna hold up to the same tone that the trailers had? Because the trailers had a very tongue-in-cheek. This is like ultra violence mixed with camp and. Okay, now we're gonna talk about something that kind of blends grittiness with. I saw a ghost go past.
Yeah.
Uh,
The
but,
challenge. Well,
We're
I
talking
mean,
about
that's
grittiness
yeah,
and seriousness. I think is going to also be in Fallout. And then what's that balance? I really liked the tone of the scene, and it was the same as the trailer.
yeah. I felt that. Yeah, I felt that
Yeah, the
the tone of
tone
the scene was
felt like
fine.
the game.
yeah, I think the difference between like a Fallout and a Star Wars is Fallout embraces that in all of its iterations, right? There's that Running Man or RoboCop-esque, parody of itself. It makes fun of as it goes.
Hmm.
It takes itself serious and not serious at the same time, and it works for it.
Yeah. In the video game you can set uh like a ultra violent setting where all the deaths are like super gory.
Yep.
Hmm.
I would love to see
It's a
that on the
perk.
show, but I don't think. Yeah, right. It's a perk,
Oh,
but I
I
don't.
would not be surprised if they had like an ability put in there that she's like, well, yeah, you do this, and anytime you touch somebody, they're gonna explode. I feel like it's that level of, you know,
So
I
I
hope.
want to break
I
down
mean,
the
yeah.
scene a little more.
yeah,
So if you take
yeah,
that scene that was released yesterday, right? So Michael Emerson, dude from Lost, right, is like,
yeah.
I don't know what his role exactly is, but I kind of take him as the shopkeeper of the shop that she's kind of, out in front of. Um, he's laying on the ground, like backing away,
Hmm.
obviously injured.
Hmm.
If you go to the trailer, there's a flash of him from the front, and his whole leg at the bottom from his shin down
Yep,
is like cut off,
yep,
and
Oh,
there's
okay.
bone and gore everywhere. It's totally gnarly, man.
yeah.
So if you kind of put the two things together, you can kind of see that. Oh yeah, who is it? Walter Goggins, the Ghoul, has
Perfect
done something
casting.
to his leg. Yeah.
Yeah, that is
So.
great casting.
Great casting.
Mhm.
Are we gonna get a silver shroud? Are
Uh,
we gonna get a three dog? Are we gonna get anything like those things? I
Ooh,
mean, I'm
Three
hoping,
Dog would be awesome.
or like some sort of DJ playing some music of the era that they play Fallout music from. Like those are the things that I don't think we've seen yet. I hope they're holding some of that stuff back, but I'm super excited to see. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of excited to have my wife watch this. Because she's
yeah.
watching Halo with me right now. And if we watch it too late, she definitely falls asleep during the episode, and I just continue on, and she'll catch on. She didn't care. She's like, and she'll be like, "Wait a minute, this is a little cheat." I'm like, consider the source,
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think she might like Fallout a little bit better. You
Okay.
know, I think it'll be more up her alley because
I
it's like
think
it's more like the boys, and you know,
Right.
it
it's such a good concept. It always has
yeah,
been. The
yeah,
artwork, the whole vibe of it from the very beginning is what drew me to it. Was this like, hey, we're gonna take the future that the '50s imagined, and then we're gonna destroyed a nuclear war, and then that's the world you're going to live
it
in.
just
That's
stays
crazy.
static in that. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the art, everything just freezes in that moment. It's great. I love the Fallout universe. I've got a Fallout sticker on the back of my car. I mean, I just have always like, I don't know. See my watch. Let's see if I can
Yep.
show it.
Yep.
Yeah, the Pip Boy.
I do.
There you
Kind of
go.
see that right there. Yeah, that's I wear
Yep.
all the time. I
Yeah.
kind of got this watch more so I could have that than anything else.
Uh, awesome.
That's
So,
awesome.
and I'm like, should I change it? I can't find anything I'd rather have on this than that.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm pumped.
But
Super pumped.
here's the challenge, and I think we've seen this with like every other anytime they try to take a video game or another IP, such as like we were just talking previous before we started recording, like the last Airbender, when they made that film, what was like 5 or 10 years ago or something, it bombed because and like every fan that they interviewed on the way out was like, that sucked. They didn't have this, they didn't have this, they didn't have this. They were expecting so much. And I think that in any case, you go into like Fallout, or let's say they were to make like I don't know, a GTA movie. There's so much that the fans are gonna want that if they don't hit the right beats, there's gonna be backlash. And so, how do you do it? How do you risk the investment? You
Hmm.
know, and that's the challenge here. But I think, I mean, with that's when I was watching the Halo stuff, I was like, wow, this feels like the game. It felt to me like it was paying homage to the source material. But again, there was a lot of backlash toward that. He took his helmet off or whatever stupid stuff, because there is already this raving lunatic fan base, that wants it their way. And that's the problem with Star Wars, because you have, and not to go back to it, but you have kids that are coming up and they're trying to appeal to these new fans while also trying to appeal to the old fans. And of course, the tastes, if you look, I love that your son's watching these 80s shows. If you look at like the 80s TV shows and movies, and then you look at the 90s TV shows and movies, and then you look at the early 2000s, like you can tell there's like a maturing of content, there's a maturing of storyline depth. And um, the problem is, I think our generation, as we age, what we're expecting is totally different than what they're trying to stay true to in the Star Wars case. But it just becomes another, trying to placate fans. And I think you can't do that. I think you have to just go do it, trust it. Like, as long as you tell a good story and you do it right, it's
Well,
going to work.
you go back into the 40s and movies were a little bit more serious and a little bit more darker. Um, Gone with the Wind era
Mm-hmm.
type things and everything. I, a lot of things based on tragedies, plays, things like that of the time. Move into the 50s where you have more of a Leave It to Beaver era, and then a little darker into the 60s. In the 70s, we get, Taxi Driver, Clockwork Orange. It gets really, really dark in the 70s. You get a lot of Dirty Harry. It just really changed. And then the 80s, it kind of it had that shift where everything became happy and fun and tighten it up and happy endings and everything, and then started, that cycle changed again. I think it's been elongated now because, I mean, everything you can kind of define by decades in the last century, where everything in the 2000s seems to kind of blend together in a lot of ways. We have differences, but um I don't know. I think that struggle happens in real time with us now too, Dan, where which lane are we going to pick? Are we going to be schlocky cheesy, or are we going to be, gritty and serious? Are we
Mhm.
going to be real Batman or hockey pads? You know,
Well, what do we need though? Because, for example, for me, like I
it's what we want.
you
Yeah, what do you want?
in my at this stage in my life, if I'm going to invest time into a film or into a show or something, I want something that I'm going to walk away from with like, good feelings. Like I want something
Happy?
that's going to make me laugh, that's going to make me, feel good about, what I just watched. I don't really want to watch the dark stuff anymore. I mean, I still enjoy it and there's times for it, but for the most part, I don't really. I mean, I kind of get where your son's coming from. They came out of COVID. COVID hit the kids way worse than it hit us,
Mm-hmm.
and they're coming out of that, and they're like, we don't want sad. We don't want anything depressing or dark, and we want something to make us feel,
No,
good again.
this is a generation that has to have drills for school shootings. We
Yeah,
didn't
no,
have
I
any of
know.
that crap. We had duck and cover and then fire drill. We all walked outside.
We did. Yeah,
That was it.
we didn't even have duck and cover when I was a kid.
Well, it wasn't really duck. We had to do like
Yeah,
the tornado one where you
drill.
get in the hallway or the gym or whatever. Yeah, I just want
I
to say
didn't do
duck and
duck and
cover.
cover.
You did duck and cover? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Wow.
yeah. So yeah, you had that. They have to do like the Code Silver, school shooting stuff, and they got COVID and they global warming and everything. Like they're just like So they're. I don't
Yeah,
blame them either.
my
I don't blame
daughter.
them either.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. No. So yeah, it's a totally different world, and I think that's it's a really fine line that these writers and these people who are investing the money into these stories, they have to ride that line. So because we want the grit, we want the deeper stories, especially for IPs that we're invested in hundreds of hours into, and then but you also want to capture the kids' imaginations and grab them in, and give them a good time. It's like a no-win scenario.
you know what? I think it's simpler than that. I think if you go throughout time, you can watch a movie from any of those eras that we just talked about, whether it's gritty, serious, or if it's stupid, goofball. If it's done well, it's got a good story, and you've got good characters, it doesn't matter. You can have all these things. We can have all these things if it's done well. And I think when you have like you just watched the Guardians of the Galaxy, right? You just watched part 3.
Mm-hmm.
Does
Yeah.
that not kind of have a lot of cheesy schlock with like the way the characters are, and then also have some of the darkest bits of the Marvel universe in it?
Yeah. I mean,
It's something that has all of that and done well. I
yeah.
think a
Yeah.
talented creator, and I'm looking at you, AI overlords. If we continue to promote good creative people and great artists and appreciate those things, then we'll have those things. If we don't, then we lose those things. If we go for the buck, if we go for those things, if you keep things, keep it real. That's all I'm saying. I'll get off my soapbox now.
I'll say this: when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy 3, not enough Nathan Fillion. That's my opinion.
He has a good role in there, though. It's a good one.
I really wanted to see more of him. I don't know why, but
I haven't seen it yet.
okay. Well, I won't ruin it for you.
Yeah, I don't care if you spoil it. It's been out for a while, but I just want to know: is he named? Is his character Mal?
No. No.
No.
There's no. It's a good bit though. It's good.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
man.
remember that. Anyway,
But
all right.
I guess you're right that would have been a dark show for a kid to watch.
Guardians 3.
Yeah, Guardians 3 would have been tough. Like it
But
was
at the
tough for
same
me, and I'm
time,
50 years old.
I don't think. See, I think people really made that out to be like, oh, it's sad. It's. I don't really feel like it was that sad. It's got a couple sad moments in there, but I don't know. It has a lot of funny, goofy things. It's.
Oh, it's Guardians.
Yeah.
Is there another sad Cat Stevens song playing throughout or something
Not
similar?
a Cat Stevens. Let's see what's on the soundtrack.
No, actually, the soundtrack's pretty cool, and it was more. I feel like it was more '90s stuff, and
Well, it opens with
also,
Rocket singing "Creep," Radiohead's "Creep."
yeah, Radiohead, yeah.
As he's walking through. I mean, did you guys watch the holiday special?
Yeah, it's
I
on.
did
Okay,
not. I've
it's
still
it's
never
it's on
watched it.
Nowhere, the same place. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's stay with the IP of Star Wars. Chuck, in 1995, I'm going to put you in the Wayback Machine.
Uh-huh.
Maybe 96 also, and even in probably 97. You and
Okay.
I and a couple of our other friends really got into this one card game.
Oh my God.
Right? Right? You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah,
Okay,
no,
so
yeah.
this
Mm-hmm.
company called Decipher put out the Star Wars CCG. Dan, do you remember this?
I have it. Yep.
Oh, you
I
do?
have
Okay, okay,
I have
okay,
a whole lot of the cards somewhere laying around upstairs.
okay.
You have a full
Never
set?
played it. I just collected the
We
cards.
never
So
played
did
it either.
we. The game sucked, and that's why
Yeah.
it didn't stay. And Decipher ended up like overprinting a whole bunch of stuff, and they did a bunch of really bad things, got themselves into some trouble, and ended up losing the license and everything. But people are really nostalgic for those cards. I got
Oh,
rid
can
of
I
a lot of
sell
mine.
them?
Oh yeah. You might want to actually hold on to them for a little while after what I tell you about.
Okay.
So last week, Fantasy Fight Games, who owns the Star Wars license or has the Star Wars license to make board games and everything, came out with Star Wars Unlimited. Okay. Um, I've been it's sold out everywhere right now. Except I was able to get myself. Let's see if I can show you. Here's a Darth Vader card right here. It's a two-sided Darth Vader card. I got Luke Skywalker one here. Um, anyway, the game is incredible, and the game's really fun. And they've got this set of cards that has come out. It's not a pay to win like Magic. You could make a deck of common cards and compete with any deck. The idea was we'll make the scarcity in some card variants, and that'll make the collector part there. But then now we're going to make a good game for people to play. So I've been building decks. And here's my Luke deck. I've even got my sleeves on it and everything.
Bro.
And my kids and I are going to start playing this. And I was with my son when I bought the starter set and everything. That was the starter set pretty much I showed you. The cards don't have the same artwork where they use the photos from the movies before. These are all art. You know, they're drawings, and this is only taking place kind of like in the Rebellion era. It's called Spark of the Rebellion, the first series, and so there'll be like a few clone cards have been in there. I think there's one card that does have Kylo Ren. There's a few that'll go beyond, but and my guess is that was just probably they needed that card to balance something for this set and kind of show that they were going to go everywhere with it. But it's got some really neat the game engine just really fun. It's because you've got a location and then a leader, and that leader is like Luke or Darth Vader, Lando, Thrawn, I don't know, Boba Fett, whatever, and you can deploy a land, like a person or like a land vehicle or like a spaceship, and it attacks the base. Once the base is taken down, it's like 20 points, 30 points to kill the base. The game's over. So games are last maybe 20 minutes to a half an hour. Um, I think this is gonna be like a thing. And it like I bought some packs and it was like, man, this is like opening up those packs from 30 years ago. And I couldn't wait to talk about it on this podcast because of how crazy we were about opening up these damn packs. And if you get like a Darth Vader or like remember Luke Skywalker, you get one of the main characters, oh baby, yeah. Um, but there's a lot of value to those old Decipher cards that you guys have. Yeah, like the
Nice.
Darth
I can't
Vader's.
believe it. I
Well, the
can't believe it.
Vader's going for like 50 some bucks on eBay right now.
Huh, really?
Yeah, and they've held those values, and I think this has gotten popular enough. Let's put it this way: a box of booster packs 3 days ago on eBay was $95. It's now over 160 because like they're running out of stock everywhere, and I
Hmm.
imagine it's going to be well over 200 to 300 in the next week or two.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
We
crazy.
were you were talking about the magic cards for Fallout a couple like last week, right?
Yeah.
Or was that yeah. And we were at the store today and we walked by, where they have all the cards and everything, and I was
Hmm.
like, I'm not going over there. I'm not going over there. I'm not gonna look. And because like I told Renee, I'm like, dude, I have like $500 wrapped up into Star Wars cards. Never finished the set, and also never learned to play the game. I was like,
I
I
tried. I
Yeah,
tried to play the Star Wars one with my son. It's so hard to learn
it's
and
terrible.
so like intuitive, and it's boring.
It's not good,
And
and that's why it
we
didn't
gave up
last.
after about an hour and a half of trying.
Yeah,
mm,
I could literally teach you guys this game in 15 minutes.
cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
I
I know
did
that.
watch a half an hour video to get that, but
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? The
I
first time
always
you,
watch videos on
yeah,
board
every
games.
time you
Yeah,
buy a new board game, it's like, we'll just go to YouTube and figure it out.
yeah, and watch it like 3 times because
Yeah.
what is that? Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
cool.
I don't know. I think I have like a collecting disease though. Like I really like collecting things. Like
Uh,
As long as
cards
it's not
especially. I love cards, like cards of any sort, baseball cards. I have Magic cards. I have these new Star Wars cards. I have Pokemon cards. I mean, you name it.
okay.
I
But is
just
it like is it everything, or is it really just like pop culture things that are important to you?
um it no, it's got it doesn't necessarily have to be like a pop culture thing. Like when I went to Japan, we like bought a whole bunch of Pokemon cards because it's like these are like it was a set that only went out in Japan and it was like the original 151 of all the original Pokemon. So me
Mhm.
and the boys just grabbed up a whole bunch of packs when we could and
Yeah.
brought those home. And that was like the one thing. That's the one thing that customs cared about. Like you're not gonna sell those,
really?
are you? Like no. All
That's
right,
hilarious.
because you know they're worth a lot, right? I'm like, they're
They could be.
they could be. I don't know. I opened up one of the cards. I think is worth like $30, and the
Hmm,
rest are a few. I got one good one.
that's
You know,
funny.
and the rest they're cool. They're cool as hell. Is
Hmm.
there like anything like pop culture? Like I don't know. Like I
Is
like
there any
collect.
non-pop culture or game, or that you collect? You like
Uh,
collect coins, you collect, pictures, paintings, anything like that?
no, no. I like you know what? It has to be like I'll collect vinyl records.
Hmm.
But it's like it's only specific albums of specific bands that I get.
Hmm.
And it's not like I'm not obsessive about it. And I don't know if I get into like a groove where it's like right now it's like, oh man, I want to get a whole set of these cards because
Hmm.
they're so cool. And like I wasn't like the artwork, I'm like, I don't know about it. But now it's like I really like the artwork. Because I'm like, they could do anything with these now. It's not just tied to what was on film like it was before.
Hmm.
Um, so I like that. Like when it comes to like baseball cards, like I know like people that are into collecting cards, and it's like if I have conversations with other people who collect sports cards, I look like a complete amateur because I am, because it's like I want to get the Gunnar Henderson rookie card from this year. I've got a Gunnar Henderson. I'm happy with that $3 Gunnar Henderson card.
Hmm.
I don't care if I don't have the one of five, you know, purple variant with that's numbered and autographed. If I got it, great, but I'm not gonna seek it out. It's not like that. It's just like if I just have like that flagship card, I kind of like it, and it's something for me to do with the kids. Um, but I don't. Do you guys collect anything?
Just regret. No.
Shame.
No. So this is really interesting because if you've ever watched like American Pickers, you see they go to these places. Like I don't even know if that show's on anymore, but they would go to these places where people would have just like kept every single thing they ever bought or saw on the side of the road. I don't think it's unique to you, but I also don't think what you're doing is necessarily um the same thing as like hoarding.
No, 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 no,
Um
nothing like that. I
no.
don't think it is either. I don't feel like I have like a problem. Like when I said I have a problem, I'm not like doing that like I'm in like Collectors Anonymous and I have to go through a
Right.
12-step program. That's not what I mean. I mean um I'm not trying to make light of those types of things either, but I just like I just I still have a lot of old video games that I held on
Hmm.
to. I don't like I'll trade in some, but I don't know. Speaking of Mass Effect, I still have the old Mass Effect trilogy on the original discs. Um, I for the Switch games, most of the games I buy on the Switch, I will buy a hard copy of
Mm-hmm.
because
Interesting.
like I just kind of like but it's a weird thing where I don't care about like value so much or I have a lot of comic books. And like I'll sell off the really expensive ones. I don't care about that. I like having a complete story. Like I have all the Y the Last Man issues still. I have all 60 issues and I haven't looked at them in maybe 10 years. So
Mm-hmm.
why do I have them there, Maybe I should sell those off,
They're,
But it's like
they're
one of those things.
I don't. It's like having it's like an accomplishment. Look, I read all 60 of these, right? They're the, you know, I respect the story. I love the story. I want it on my bookshelf. I want to,
Yeah.
show it off. There's nothing wrong with that.
I have a lot of
The,
books. I have a lot of books
the,
and bookshelves,
no, I know.
So yeah.
Where I think like what I've seen is that some people will collect because it's a way to keep their mind occupied. It's a way to uh, it's just the same. It's the same thing as like people who get addicted to drugs or alcohol because what it is it's life over here kind of sucks. So I'm going to focus on this something I can control and I can enjoy and I can measure. Okay, I got a whole set of this. Oh, so that check that box off. So
Oh, it's a dopamine hit. It for sure
oh
is.
yeah,
It's like
oh
getting
yeah,
it. It's an achievement unlocked in Xbox. It's
yes, absolutely.
it's game theory to a T. And it's just like, and I think like I use that to my advantage with a lot of things too. Like I don't know. I'm not gonna get into that part of it actually. I should delete that part. Don't worry about it. I don't want to get too personal, but
Uh,
not bad thing, not bad thing. But like I don't know, like is there anything you guys collect? Am I the only one here that collects things besides dust?
uh,
Dust does not count.
no, I'm more of a memento and souvenir kind of a guy in terms of what I collect. Like if I go on vacation, if I go to the beach, I always get a towel, like a beach towel
Okay,
or,
That's cool.
clean
That's cool.
towel that says the name of the place. And then,
okay,
but I don't like hide them away. I use them because it always reminds me of the things that I did and saw and stuff like that. So like
huh.
baseball stadiums, I collect a souvenir cup from the baseball stadium that
Okay.
I went.
So I've got the stamp book for the national parks,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and every time we go to anything that has national park stuff, we get our stamps. Ian
Mm-hmm.
and I both have like the big one that's like all zip up and got the my wife and my other older one, he doesn't care. He's like, whatever. He doesn't collect anything. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, although he's starting to collect CDs, like music CDs.
Mm-hmm.
Like he thinks it's because again, that was I want. He wants to go back in time still. I don't know. But also because it sounds better than when you listen to MP3 online, like everybody else listens to. He's more into the fidelity. That's probably why. But my youngest does like collecting. So, and I think he got that from me. So he'll collect baseball cards. He collects Funko Pops.
Mm-hmm.
Not obsessively. He's got like 15,
Yeah,
which
my
is
kids have. Yeah, my kids have several of those.
yeah. So
Oh,
like we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and you got the Pearl Jam one with all the Pearl Jam guys in it. You
that's
know,
Mm-hmm.
cool.
it's cool. It's got some cool stuff. I've decided I don't like collecting big stuff anymore. So I have like a bunch of unopened Lego boxes over on this shelf. So
Yeah.
I've got but I got them. I'm gonna sell them. Like
My
I'll get
kids.
things
Yeah.
and like certain things I'll sell. Like I'm gonna play this Star Wars game. It's like
Oh,
Dan, you use your towel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna play this Star Wars game. I mean that's kind of where it is. Like it's an active thing where I get rid of things that I'm no longer like. I'll probably get rid of the comic books at some point, except for certain ones. Keep a few, but I got a lot that I have no reason to keep.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
at my age, I'm getting to the age where I'm looking around, going, I need to get rid of some of this junk. You know
Oh
what I
yeah, and
mean? Like
that's yeah,
seriously, I need
yeah,
to pare down.
yeah.
So,
So
and I have tons of stuff from the '90s. Like I have a ton of Star Trek like figures still in the boxes. I have like the Star Trek Barbie dolls that are probably worthless.
Mhm.
I mean, I have a lot of stuff that's like probably has no value. It's been sitting in a box up in my attic.
Mhm.
You know,
So above me, I've got an amiibo still in the box of Joker from Persona 5 because I really like playing Persona 5, and that was like I think it's like $100 if you go on eBay to get that one. I've got an Alien action figure of like the old school Alien. I've got Raynor from StarCraft 2 still in a package hanging on the wall here. Yeah, so
oh,
I got
I
I've got
forgot about those. I have those too somewhere.
yeah. But again, like I had like a Dead Space figure and a
Oh,
Bioshock. I had a
yeah,
Bioshock
yep.
Big Daddy. I sold those for like a mint, man. So, like, I
That's
don't know, like,
collecting, right? That's collecting. If like you're buying and you have this intention of like, hey, I'm buying this and then I'm gonna either sell it or flip it or turn it into something else. That's really like that's the whole collecting scene right there.
yeah,
Whereas like, what I do is like I got a slice in time of my life, like
Yep.
Stranger Things. I got the Funko Pops for Stranger Things, right?
yeah,
I got all the kids, I got Hopper and everything, and that's about as far as my Funko Pop days went, right?
my kids have bought me Funko Pops. That's where I got mine from. So
Yeah,
I've
but
got like,
just like
but the ones that, but I love them because they bought them for me. You
yeah,
know.
Yep.
they're knickknacks.
Yep.
They're just they're my
Mhm.
nostalgia, but they're small pieces because I also don't like big things. But I don't ever really have intent. I'm not holding on to them because I think they're going to be worth something someday. They're worth something now to me.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's all I. That's all. That's the
yeah.
extent of my collecting.
So like, the thing is like, it's not like I have a ton of stuff though. Like I've got literally like 4 action figures, 5 action figures in boxes still. It's not a lot, you know.
Hmm.
All right, Justin. House is burning down. Your kids, your
I don't
wife,
care
your
about
mother,
any
your
of it.
cats—they're all safe. What's the one thing you grab?
I guess I don't care about any of it enough.
That's
Like,
amazing.
like,
For a collector, that's incredible.
yeah, but that's what the thing. Like, it's like because it's not like overly upset. Like when I get into something, like I'll be into these Star Wars cards for like 3 weeks,
Hmm.
and then I'll have them and hopefully be able to play this game out, and then like every once in a while I'll go and grab some. Kind of like how I do baseball cards. Like I just kind of go. I don't like obsessively like buy boxes of baseball cards.
Hmm.
Like I'm at the store, I just grab a couple packs, and then I'll go online on eBay and pick out a few cards I like. Just because I don't want to spend a ton of money on that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes, I hear that. I have
yeah,
2 kids in college. You have one kid in college and one on his way.
one on his way. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, there's like that kind of stuff too, where yeah, I don't know. Like I wanted to collect guitars at one point, but that's really
That
expensive.
that could be
You
really
know,
expensive.
Little
I
cheaper
got a
than
lot of
cars.
pedals. You know,
So Dan, your house is on fire. You got one thing you can save. Your family, all your animals and everything are safe. What's the one thing you grab?
Oh dear Lord.
like I'm a
Not counting like pictures of my kids and wedding albums and shit like that.
see. I got most
Um,
of that stuff in the cloud. So I don't really like. I was thinking like I got like digital copies of all that stuff.
oh man, you know what? It's probably my Ernie Banks signed bat
Eh,
downstairs. So
okay.
I guess yeah, I have that. That's my probably my only collector piece, but my wife got it for me for my birthday a long time ago. Like I didn't ask for it, and she's just like, "Hey, I'm gonna get this for you." And it was like I want to say it was a year before he died. So that's kind of cool that I have it up in my bar. So that's probably it.
Yeah, I've got a Paul Carnucco bat signed. I didn't think about that one. I won it at an auction, a silent auction for my kids' preschool.
That's
uh,
pretty cool, man.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Uh, I don't know. Everything I got's replaceable, even like
Yep.
the collectible stuff. Like I don't know. And things are digital now. I don't know. What about you, Chuck? What are you gonna save?
Oh, I have one thing in my closet. Back in the '80s, I had actually, yeah, it was probably the '90s. I had a Tamiya Monster Beetle radio controlled car, and I years when after I got married and everything, I put it all back original. The body is perfect. It's never been run. It just sits on the shelf and collects dust. For some reason, that's like the one thing I'm like, if anything's going on, that's the one thing I'm grabbing because I don't know, it's just memories and stuff. But nah, like you said, everything's replaceable. However, I do have George over here. I don't know, you might remember George from
Yeah.
our college days. I got this on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride the first time I ever rode it. And I've had this guy with me. He used to glow in the dark. He doesn't do that anymore.
You
But
still have that magic can of Spam?
I have a can of Spam. It's light Spam though. Like I don't know if you can see that, but
Yeah.
it's light. I have my
Right.
camera reversed or something, but anyway.
No, it looked fine. It looked right.
Okay.
So like that's been freaking me out since we've been doing this. Is like everything I put up is backwards for me when I look at it on the screen,
No, it does
but
the mirror thing.
it's
Yeah.
right for you. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You
All
can
right.
reverse it. All right,
Okay.
man. So that's an hour and 7 minutes.
Okay. I think we hit where we want to hit today. I think we had a good
Yeah.
conversation. And Dan, you're on vacation next week, right?
Yep, I'm on vacation next week, and
Yeah.
I'm going to challenge you guys. Check out this documentary. I started watching
Oh yeah.
Quiet on Set, and it's all about how I'm gonna. Can I drop my one F bomb to retain our PG-13 rating? How effed up the uh, Nickelodeon kids that the child actors from Nickelodeon from the late 90s through the 2010s are because of the culture that was developed by Dan Schneider on the Nickelodeon shows of the late 90s, early 2000s.
What would some of
So
those shows be? Because I don't know if I
so
know any of them.
so all that iCarly,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
iCarly and
That
Greg
was
and
like
all.
so millennial stuff. Like
Yes,
millennial kids grew up with this.
Yeah, I've probably watched every episode of iCarly at
Oh,
least
have
once.
you? Okay.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, it goes all the way back. I mean, so Dan Schneider is, if you remember, oh shoot, it was like that was a high school TV sitcom, and he was one of the high school kids on the show, and he became a writer afterwards. Shoot, what is the name of that show? I gotta go look it up now. Shoot, what the hell was that? The show, Head of the Class. So if you remember
Okay.
him,
Okay, head of the class.
we
Yep.
were all kids,
Yep.
right?
All
He's
right.
like the bigger guy, it
Okay.
was like him and the dorky get kid were always getting picked on and whatnot. So he became like a writer and a producer for Nickelodeon after that show. And it's just like the this documentary is all about how the shows that he produced this culture of pedophiles
What?
and just racism, pedophilia, and just most hostile, terrible situations for kids,
Oh,
and
sheesh.
how it's one after the other. um the kids that got pumped out of those shows were just totally messed up, and there's a couple exceptions like Ariana Grande. She came out of there, but like Amanda Bynes is one of like the big examples of
Really?
rising superstar gets pumped out of this situation, and she just can't make the transition because her life was just so effed up from this show. So anyways,
What's it on?
it's on Max, and it's on like four other ones also. So like you can watch it for free on like
Okay.
Fubo and a couple other ones.
I think
um
I saw it like on Hulu.
yeah, I mean, it's
There was
all over
something
the
if it's
place
Nickelodeon.
right now.
See, I was wondering if it went back as far as because like when I watched Nickelodeon, it would have been more in the '80s because it was like the you can't do that on television in Double Dare era.
So you
That's like
remember the guy? God, who was the host of that show? That the dude that hosted all those shows, right?
Mark
Double Dare.
Summers.
Yeah, yeah. So he's
Something.
interviewed on this, and they like he was like there before Dan Schneider's reign and kind of into it. And it's kind of like a Harvey Weinstein kind of a deal where, in the background there's all this stuff going on. And then when you look at the skits that he puts these kids through, and then you put them in the context of everything going on behind the scenes, you're just like, holy crap, they did that on TV. So like when you say, hey, you can't do that on TV, he did everything. And when you put it in the context of what was going on, it's going to just blow your mind,
Really?
right?
Okay, I will try to watch it. I am gone. I'll be like heading on a small trip, so I'll be back in time to record next week though. I'm not gone all week, Chuck. So Chuck, you and I are going to do an episode next week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yep.
Yeah,
all
so
right.
check it out and get a couple episodes in.
Dan, do they talk to Jeanette McCurdy at all in that? She played
No.
She played Sam on iCarly, and she wrote a book, and it was basically I'm glad my mom's dead. I don't even remember what the title of the
Oh,
book
that's
was.
who that
Oh,
was. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the other iCarly girl, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't seen her. I don't know if she's on there. I'm kind of looking and see the episodes.
Was
There's only 4 so far. Like there's more coming.
Okay, so it's a
Um,
series.
yeah, and it kind of, oh yeah. It looks like they kind of get into the iCarly stuff and see in episode 4. I'm on episode 2,
Okay.
which is really kind of focused on Amanda Bynes at that point because she was like the protege and the one that really launched his career, into mainstream. And and it gets into like I think there's been 3 producers or on-screen talent that have been charged in court or and convicted of like child
Oh my
molestation and
God.
pornography and stuff. Yeah, it's insane.
Okay.
Uh,
So, yeah, I'm remembering I watched Head of the Class all the time.
yeah,
Is
Yeah, we
it
all
Dan
did.
Schneider? Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when
So I remember
so
because it was Robin Givens was on that show, and that was like
Hmm?
that was show was going on when the whole Mike Tyson thing was happening.
yeah,
Yeah.
in
So
so like when I first saw it, so like it's been all over the news because this just started like the last week and a half, right? So like a couple weeks ago, and the guy who Drake Bell was on
Quiet on
in the
Set.
Bandit,
That's what it's called.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so like he came out and he's like, "Hey, I was sexually abused by this producer from the Amanda Bynes show, yada yada yada," right? And then because this documentary is about to come out, and then they just start talking about this guy Dan Schneider, right? And that's the focus of the documentary. It really
Wow.
wasn't the focus, you know, Drake Bell and what happened there. That's like just like the epic within this docuseries. But man, it's like just you got to check it out. You will be entranced by the shit show that it was. It's
Okay.
That
just really
sucks. I
sad.
hate that. That sucks,
So
man.
you're
Yeah,
saying it's a feel good show.
yeah, totally. And I grew up, I don't. We could do a whole show on this, but like I grew up in LA, from 4th grade on, and I knew a lot of people like kids who were in the business either behind the scenes or in front of the camera, right? Some people you've heard of and some people you've seen on TV and are still in the business today. And stories I've heard, it's like kind of like, whoa. Yeah, I when you watch this, you're like, yep, I will never ever let my kids be in show business.
Yeah.
Never
Well,
ever.
yeah, Carrie Fisher was the same way. She said her kids would never be in show business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in one way or the other, right? And this not just about the on-screen talent of the show; it's about like the writers, like the female writer, and how this guy he just hates, allegedly. I don't know. I don't want to get sued here, hey, but he just hates women. So he would hire 4 male staff writers, full salary, and then he hired 2 women and made them split a salary. And then when they went to
God.
the Screenwriters Guild, right, and like, hey, is this legal? They're like, no, and so they sued Nickelodeon. So you gotta
Wow.
You gotta give them both salaries. He like had retribution against them for if I find out you're the one who took this to them, you'll never work in for Nickelodeon or Viacom again. That kind of stuff, right? So it's just insane. You watch it, you'll be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Um,
I'll watch it.
Mm-hmm. It'll grab your attention and you'll be just like shocked.
okay.
I'll definitely check into it.
And it's called Quiet on Set, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the
I
Dark
wrote
Side of
that.
Kids TV.
All right.
Cool.
Sounds good. All right, everybody. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week. It's time to sign off.
All right. We'll see you guys next
Hoo-ah.
week.
Bye-bye.